Welcome to the Coherence Education Podcast, where we're going to explore with some amazing guests some of the things that we wish we learned as kids, the adults here. And then we have an actual kid on here as well. And I just wanted to check with you, Ella, are you an actual kid or are you an adult pretending to be a kid?
I'm kid.
Oh, actual kid. Good, good, good. And is that an actual dog as well?
Yes,
Can you introduce us?
this is Milo.
Hey, Milo. We're so happy that you're on as well. And we do have our animal communication coming up as well. So maybe Milo can help be a guest teacher in there for us. So, and then we've got Allison Paradise. Allison, I'm so happy to have you on here. You're one of my favorite people. We connected how long ago? It feels like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, but it also feels like 20 years ago
It
because I feel like I've known you
does. It
forever.
does. We have very deep conversations whenever we get together. And we had you on as a guest in this really cool class called The Inner Game of You, where we explored all the different parts of us and tried to figure them out in different ways. And one of the ways was through different exercises like art, for example. And that was where I started really realizing what a special artist Ella is. And so when I thought about having you on, Allison, I decided, wouldn't it be cool to have Ella on as well to talk about her special relationship with art and sort of how we use art and creativity to help us get to know ourselves and make sense of ourselves and what we can learn from that. So really excited to launch into this discussion. And I actually wanted to start it off, Allison, by just having you tell your story. You have the most remarkable story that has so many twists and turns, and it's remarkable. I've had so many twists and turns as well, getting to where I am, where I feel like I'm finally on my mission, which is to help transform education for kids and help do this inside out type of learning that we do. And I just wanted to ask you, like, where did you start off and how did you get here? Because I know it wasn't a straight path.
No, the good ones never are, right? So I I knew actually when I was really young that I wanted to work with kids and young adults. I was 3. My sister had just been born, and I had this very strong vision, but I didn't have the language for it. So I said to my parents, I want to teach and I want to start a school. And I grew up in a house where that wasn't an acceptable career choice. So I was told, you can't be a teacher. You can either be a doctor or you can be a lawyer. So I went to school to be a doctor, but my body rejected that path entirely. I got really sick and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out why I was having such a strong reaction. Because by that time, I'd pretty much forgotten that I even had this vision. I had almost been like conditioned out of me. But when I was by myself, away from everybody, I remembered, oh, wait, I'm meant to work with kids. What am I doing? What are you doing, Allison? So I came back to school and I told my parents I'm going to be a teacher. And they were like, you're not going to be a teacher. So I had been working as a scientist since high school in various different laboratories and they said you can be a scientist almost as like a consolation prize. Like we'll accept scientist if you can't be a doctor. I was studying neuroscience. I was always interested in human behavior and why we do the things that we do. And so I stayed in neuroscience research, but I was more on the molecular side of things. When people think neuroscience, they tend to think brain imaging, but I was much more of signal transduction cascade kind of research. Um, but after a while, I knew that that wasn't for me. So I left and I thought, now is the time I'm going to go teach. But I got told no. So I worked as a consultant for a while, and then I started a nonprofit in science and sustainability. And this is where things started to come together, although it sounds like it's very far away, because I was really interested in helping scientists be more sustainable in their labs, but I didn't want to go into a space and tell them this is what you should do because I don't like being told what to do. And I would not appreciate someone coming into my workspace and saying to me, don't do it that way, do it this other way. I'd be like, you don't know me. Don't tell me things. So I created a program where the entire certification process was based around questioning our behavior. So, why do we do the things that we do? What are the behavioral patterns, the conditionings behind them? And can we choose to do something different? And it was in this process that I really came to see how universal this approach could be, and how applying this at a very young age would ensure that we weren't 40, 50, 60 years old, waking up one day and going, is this the life that I want to have? Or have I strayed very far from it? Um, so, in that kind of realization, I had started writing a book on consciousness. And as part of that book, what came out of that was the realization that we are creative beings, that we're creating every moment, every day, all the time. And creativity isn't just art, it's everything.
Mm.
So, in this conversation, the three of us are creating something in this space that other people will get to participate in. And when I saw that, I thought, well, that's going to be the core of the guidance that I want to provide to kids. So our work now is working with kids and young adults to help them kind of know what's true for themselves and to create from that place of authenticity. And so it involves a lot of art and various different modalities of creative self-expression. But it's not just the traditional kind of visual arts that you might imagine, which we know that Ella can speak to well because Ella knows all about all the different modalities of art.
Yes, yeah. So that's a great transition. Fascinating story, and you really restrained yourself from dropping a lot of the big names of the educational institutions that you were part of. I mean, you really started off in this dream trajectory that so many people want, but it's funny that if it's not on our path, we all have an inner compass, I believe, that's pointing us in a certain direction. And if we're going opposite of that, it just doesn't work. And it's really fascinating to hear your story. And isn't it amazing we get to work with people like Ella
I
and find out,
know.
Ella, where you want to go, and then we can just help you make a more direct path in that direction. You'll have twists and turns on your journey too, but maybe not as big of twists and turns as Allison and I have had.
Maybe it will end up being like a this sort of situation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll look like a beautiful piece of art, which
Yes.
which is a great segue into talking about you as an artist, Ella, because again, I was just really impressed by the way you express yourself through your drawings and the way your designs are. And I was wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit about, you know, how you started understanding yourself as an artist, and you know, when was the earliest time you remember doing art when you were a little kid?
Um, I honestly can't remember any, but I just remember doing art a lot. But I don't like remember like a certain time when I was like really young when I started. But um, yeah.
Yeah, how often do you do art? How often do you draw or paint or do the different things that you do with art?
Um, well, I like to. So I like to draw. I like to paint. I like to neopel. Have you heard of that? It's where, yeah, I made this little farm and
You
you
Oh my
felted
gosh,
that?
that is
So
so cute.
cute.
Wow,
That's a big felting project.
that's amazing. Awesome. Can you show us some of your other drawings or your art?
yeah, I like to make stuff with clay. Like I made this little um as cow
Oh
Oh.
my gosh, that is so
foam clay.
stylish.
Oh, that's made out of foam clay?
Yeah,
What a wonderful. Wow. You got the design on that cow perfectly.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's so stylish. It's amazing. What else
And
do you have to show us?
then, so I drew this wolf picture.
Oh, wow.
And then there's some stuff here.
Mm.
What inspires these drawings?
Um, well, I don't know. I just kind of feel it sometimes. Like one time I was with my dad at his office and I wanted to draw something, but I didn't really know what to draw. And then I just started, I just thought of this flower and then I started drawing it. Things like this lemon, like I just do some random stuff on this page.
Wow.
But
And how do you feel about them and looking at them now? What do you feel when you see them?
I feel like happiness and stuff. But I have some other drawings in this book.
I'd love to see.
Yeah, this is my nature journal. So these are dandelions and a feather that I drew.
Hmm.
If you can read it backwards.
Yeah.
But and then this is I have a piece of indigo gabbro. And I drew it out. It looks like that.
Wow. And what are you drawing with here? It looks like almost painted. Is it drawn or is it painted?
It's this is pencil. This is
Okay.
marker.
Oh, it's marker. Okay.
But this is pencil, but this is not pencil, it's marker. But
They're beautiful.
thank you.
Ella, oh, wow, we've got more.
Whoa.
Did you make that?
Yeah, wait. Made this way.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
So this is this is a fairy house that I made for wait, did I make this one for you? Oh no, this one you have one like this one. But so I have it's like I kind of made like a farm. I made like a little fairy house. Um, but so there's like I made like little chickens out of like clay. They're kind of sticking to the but I made like little chickens. I made this one a long time ago. And this is one of the fairies that I made. I actually made this fairy at a summer camp,
Hmm.
this fairy. And then I made this fairy at home. I made this a long time ago.
Oh,
But
such a lovely place for them to live.
oh, there's another fairy. No, I have to
Mhm.
think. I haven't seen this in a long time. But then there's a another fairy. This is where I made this. This is like little chicks.
Cute.
That's amazing.
And this is a table with like a little roof, little awning. And there's like
Wow.
food.
So they can sit at the table and be protected from the sun.
And there's like a little kitchen area.
That's so amazing.
There's I forgot about this one. There's a pig
Mm.
and a cow.
Oh my gosh.
It's,
It's so thoughtfully made.
it is. It's like a whole little civilization. I love it. Love it. I also love how you are so adept at creating art, both in 2 dimensions, like on a page, and then also 3 dimensions. The 3 dimensional things you showed us are so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Allison, if Ella was one of your students in one of your classes, what kinds of things would you guys do together?
That's a great question. So we provide as many different art supplies as we possibly can, and as many different modalities as we can. So we have exactly what Ella showed. So we've got paint and markers and clay, different types of clay. Um, we provide crafting supplies so that people can make things three dimensionally. We make movies. We have musical instruments.
Mm.
And we usually start with a question, and then we let the students know that they can make art based on the question, or they can make art however they're feeling. And then we ask questions that are very similar to what I was asking Ella, because it just comes naturally. So, how are you feeling? Why did you do this like this? Because being able to connect the intuitive piece of like what you feel like you want to create with language helps, I think, us understand the why behind what we're doing. And so, while there's a lot of great utility in being able to just follow our intuition, it's very helpful to also be able to articulate what it is that we're doing. So, yeah, I would give you all the art supplies we had and be like, have at it, make something amazing. And I'd love to see what you would create.
Mm. That's amazing. What do you discover when you're doing art, Ella? Do you have insights? Is your kind of mind sort of daydreaming, or is it more quiet? What's it like when you're creating your art for you?
Um, kind of like, well, kind of like, it's kind of just like quiet and like, just like when I'm like drawing, I'm just like, I'm just like quiet and I'm just like drawing. It's just like quiet feeling.
Hmm. Do you find it easier to express yourself through art than through other ways like language or writing?
Yeah, sometimes.
Me too.
Mm. What was it like for you growing up, Allison? What was your relationship with art?
Um, Not as free as Ella's. So I used to make things all the time when I was younger. I loved making things. Um, I made inventions, I would call them. I loved putting things together, and I would draw all the time. Um, but I had an art teacher, I think I must have been in sixth grade, who held up this thing that I had made out of tinfoil and string. We were supposed to use those materials. It was an odd set of materials. And she held it up to the class and said, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen," which is not a nice thing to do.
No.
No. And then she told me, never, ever, ever be an artist. And I had the same teacher for seventh and eighth grade. So I was just mortified every time I'd have to go to class. I just was like,
Mm.
here's something, you know? And then I never touched it.
Mm.
I, Interestingly, so I went to Brown for undergrad, and right next to Brown is RISD, which is an art school. And my next door neighbor and one of my closest friends growing up went to RISD. So I would go to all of her art classes. I loved going to art classes. We would make movies together. We would do all sorts of really fun creative projects together, art installations. But I had this mental block around art in my head, something I didn't do. It took me until 2021 to undo that block. So
Wow.
honestly, Ella, like watching you be so free with your creativity and your expression just makes my heart so happy,
Mm.
because this is the birthright, I feel like, of every human, to be
Mm.
able to just be inspired and make something amazing. But yeah, I did not have that.
Yeah, I feel like our creativity is like a valve where we can open it up, and when we open it up, we get all this information from somewhere. Like I know when I'm at my creative best, I just don't know where it's coming from, but I know it's flowing in, and I'm just kind of keeping up with it. And it's so easy to get that valve shut off. Like, or I think there are some people fierce enough to not let anybody shut off that valve, but for more sensitive people like us, you know it's it's um it's horrifying to see that someone can have that much power over us, where they could close down this thing that's so important to us, our creative valve, our creative connection to what's bigger. So good job getting it back. How did you reconnect yourself?
So when I was writing that book on unconsciousness, I wanted I realize that so much of these concepts are things that we try to get with our heads, but that's not life. Life is meant to be experienced, and we really understand things when we embody them and experience them. So I had this idea that I wanted to create an experience of entanglement, the concept of entanglement.
Mhm.
So I built a 22-foot geodesic dome with lasers and sound. And as you
Wow.
move through part of the dome, you would intercept lasers and it would change the color and the sound in another part of the dome. So
Oh
everybody's
my
moving
gosh.
around and they're affecting everyone and everything around them instantaneously and simultaneously. And I had had this idea for years. And then I saw a call for proposals from the Museum of Art and History in Santa Cruz. And I just, on a whim, I was like, I'll do that. And they funded it. And then all of a sudden, I had a badge that said artist. And I was like, okay. And now I make large scale art installations on the side with the person that I
Wow.
collaborate with for the epicenter. Yeah, we get to do really fun things. He's an engineer, so he brings that to it, which is great because I really honestly should not have been building a 22-foot geodesic dome. They asked me if the structural engineer had signed off on it, and I said, I don't know what that is. And they're like, is this going to stand? And I was like, maybe, you know?
That's amazing. I want to go to the next party that's in the dome. Please invite me. That's incredible. Do you Ella, do you see yourself like creating something grander? Because I could see that fairy house actually being big enough to climb around on. Would you ever want to do something like that?
Well, when I'm older, I want to um make like circus day Soleil. Um I want to build like my own like circus like that, like an acrobatic circus.
Wow.
And I want it to be called Soaring Stories. And that's really what I want to do when I'm older. Um and yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And Ella mentioned that she's in circus camp this week, actually doing like aerial silks and learning how to walk on stilts and all kinds of cool things like that. So would you also perform in the circus too that you create?
Yeah, I want to perform in it too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow.
What would the stories be about? So how do you determine, are they stories like storybook stories, or what do you mean by that?
Um, like like making like stories, but and then I'm gonna like make a story. I'm going to like come up with the story and then perform it, and not there's like not gonna be like, or there might like there'll be like, it's not gonna be like narrated, it's just gonna be acted out. And um like the different characters, and they'll just be like acting out and stuff. But
Wow.
yeah.
This is such a huge vision.
It's amazing.
I'm going
It's
to be right
amazing.
there in the front row. I'm like, I need to see this. It's going to be
Yeah, I think you might
incredible.
need to contribute a few lasers to the show as well, Allison. Could Allison help you with some lasers?
Sure.
The
Not
lighting
that
and
you need
whatnot.
help. Oh my gosh, I love that vision, Ella. This is amazing. Well, I'm going to be really excited to see what projects um, you choose to work on in our project rooms in our school this next year, because I have a feeling they're going to be amazing. The types of things that you'll create in our project rooms. That's going to be really fun. Well, I wanted to wrap up. First of all, I just wanted to thank you both so much for coming. And I just wanted to wrap up with one last question, Allison, and that is, if you think about all the things that you learned as a kid, and then you think about all the things you learned as an adult, like if you could take a time machine and go back with some of the things that you learned as an adult and teach them to your inner kid, go back and find 8-year-old or 10-year-old Allison, what what do you wish you learned as a kid that you waited to learn as an adult?
Hmm. I think there's so much I knew as a kid, but couldn't put words around.
Mm.
So the first thing that comes to my mind is to trust myself.
Mm.
Like, I knew when I was really little to trust myself, but by the time I was 8 or 10, I had learned that maybe I shouldn't, to outsource my trust to somebody else.
Mm.
And I would go back and remind my 8 or 10 year old self that I can be trusted. Because then that art teacher telling me that my art was the worst thing in the world wouldn't have affected me, right? If I
Mm.
trusted myself and had confidence, it wouldn't have mattered. Um, yeah, I think that's the biggest gift to me that we can give to kids is to keep reminding them that
Mm.
like Ella, and you know. It's all over your face. It's in your artwork. It's
Yeah.
everything that you're presenting to us today. Like,
And you
So
know better than any of the rest of us.
exactly. Yep. So trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really beautiful. Well, I can't wait to move this forward because we'll definitely have a part two at some time because Allison, you're going to help teach in our school, Coherence Education, and we're going to find ways
Maybe.
to
So
support what
excited.
what you're doing. And Ella, obviously, you're a part of our school, so this is going to be an ongoing story of us getting to know your genius even more and watching you express it. I'm so excited for that. And I just want to thank you both so much for coming on today. And Ella, do you have any last words you want to share with us or any advice that you want to give to other kids who are wanting to learn art?
Um, well, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me come on. And yeah, I'm really happy that you invited me on this. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. It's been such a pleasure having you on, and I can't wait to see all the people who are going to watch this podcast and get inspired by your art and decide maybe like wow, maybe I can express myself more through my own art in my own way. So that would be my greatest desire. Well, thank you again so much. And we look forward to continuing moving forward. Allison, can you tell everybody how to keep up with your work and different ways that they can get involved in what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for asking. You can find out more about our work at our website. So it's BE, the Epicenter, EPICENTER, with dashes in between. So be-the-epicenter.org. Um, yeah, we work out of Michigan and California, and thanks so much to Coherence Education, we'll now be able to share our work more broadly. So, really appreciate being in conversation with you, Ella, and you, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Well, many blessings on the rest of your days. And thank you so much for this discussion. I really, really enjoyed it.